Hey everybody, Eric Hayden here on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the videos, the last couple of postings. We did some time lapses on the garden in terms of pruning. Have to reiterate, that pruning has been going on 2 years since I really did much in the garden with regards to pruning. So I know that you shouldn't really prune severely in the fall, and I didn't, in the sense that we still have 2.5, 3 feet of rose bush left, but I did do more severe pruning than I would have otherwise done if I had kept up with things. Just want to do a little update in the garden. I'm going to try to do a quick planting here before sunset. So the garden's looking much cleaner. Again, I mentioned in the how-to video on pruning, should do it any time of year if you've got diseased or dead or crossing canes. But your pruning in the fall can help prevent the bush from rocking back and forth in the winter. And then in the spring, it can actually stimulate growth. Here's an example, Mr. Caleb, a really nice rose. So even though we did a pretty harsh pruning compared to what you would do in the fall, we still have a lot of cane left. The reason you don't want to do too severe pruning is you're cutting out your margin for error. If you have a really cold winter and it dies back, you don't have a much margin for error if you prune too severe. So you do have to watch that. The other thing I'm watching, there's not much I can do about it, is pruning does stimulate growth. I'm going to try my best to get zoomed into that. Might be hard, but you can see, let's see here. You can see it might be a little more blurry than I want. Right here, the bud eyes are starting to push out on some of the roses. Our winters here in eastern North Carolina are up and down, 60s and 70s one day, 30s and 20s for lows another night. So this is just going to happen no matter if I prune or not. But on some of these bushes, they are starting to push out despite us only being in the 50s and not super warm. But I don't know if you can see that in the video here, but they're starting to push out. What will happen is if this does die back because we get some cold and we lose these buds, that's where the margin of error I'm talking about. Since we didn't prune super far down, we'll just go lower on the bush, and the ones lower are dormant and they are much more protected from the cold. So pruning does stimulate growth, so you do have to watch out in the fall. Really don't want to do much more than a light pruning, if at all. In my case, I did the pruning just to clean the garden up because it had been neglected for so long. So now that the pruning's done, what are we doing in the garden? We're sitting back and enjoying some of the previous videos I showed you, putting down lime, some leaves, composted or chopped up, not composted, chopped up by the base of the rose. That will add some protection for the winter and nutrients come spring. So we're kind of laying low here. Also put down a pre-emergent all through the garden, and then I hit any weeds that were popping up. I don't even see them now, but there's a few in the paths. Anything like that I hit with a little bit of Roundup, just a little maintenance. So right now we don't have any active weeds, and then the pre-emergent will prevent future weeds. So the garden is in excellent shape for the spring. They've been pruned, they have been weeded, they have been had pre-emergent applied, so we don't have any future weeds. So we're in excellent shape. Now it's a good time to take stock and inventory. If a rose is not doing good, now's the time to dig it up. If it's died, if it's just not doing well and you want to replace it, I'm going to do a video coming up on some mail order roses. I know Palatine is sold out of a bunch already, but there's still some roses out there you can get. Fall is a really good time to order roses, and for some of the country you can plant them. These are roses from Steve Singer from last year that I bought as maiden roses and planted the other day. So it's mounded up and protected. Even in upstate New York, fall was a really good time to plant. As long as the ground was not frozen, it was an excellent time because the soil is still warm, especially many inches down, and the roots will grow, and then you just cover up the bud union itself, and then come winter, even if this has died back some, you cut down just like you would with your other plants, and you're ready to go. Here in the South, it's actually provided to be a little more difficult, and what I mean by that is I've lost some roses, or almost lost some roses, with a fall planting because of that up and down nature of the wintertime that I mentioned. So that's something you do have to kind of be careful of. I think the biggest issue here is we get warm and then cold so dramatically, some of these plants can tend to dry out. So when you're planting, whether you're planting the graft, the bud union below the ground or above, I would always mount it up with soil, especially through the winter months so it doesn't dry out. So that's just a little update. Everything's been pruned, again, weeded. Some chopped up leaves have been put around the base of the roads, and now we're just in the process of slowly but surely popping out some of the dead ones and replacing them with new ones. This is Bruce Monroe. It's one of the roses from Steve Singer. This is a maiden rose. I've cut it down, defoliated it, and now it's ready to go in the garden. Sheila's Perfume is down here somewhere. It's not dead, but it's not very big. So what I'm gonna do is, I hate getting rid of things, but I'm gonna pop that up, put that rose in its place, and then pot Sheila's Perfume up or heal it in over the winter, and then try to give it a new home next spring and see what happens. So that's it. I just want to do a update after the pruning, after the mulching of the leaves, and all those previous videos I've done. We've had quite a windstorm the other day, 50-mile-per-hour winds, but with chopped up leaves, they tend to hold in place more than the whole leaves. That's another, I chop them up just so that you know, you've got more of them around the rose bush, but they also tend not to blow away as much as they do if they're whole leaves. So that's it. You can see some of those bud eyes, whew, really poking out on Hot Princess. Again, we might have to prune that back some, but you can see she's almost 3 feet tall as it is now. So got plenty of margin for error. Hope everyone's having a good holiday. And as always, the biggest compliment you can give us is ask questions and share our channel with new folks that are interested in growing roses. Take care.